Hello everyone, welcome back to the Hall of the Mountain King. I'm the Mountain King, your host. Today we're going to continue our multi-part adventure on how to fix Dark and Darker, system by system, piece by piece. And today we're going to start a small series of videos regarding all of the classes and how to update them to bring them in line with the creativity of the Druid and the Sorcerer. So if you want to listen to all the technical details and the reasons why for everything, stick around. But if you want to go straight to the new spells, passives, and abilities I want to give the Wizard, just go ahead and click the chapter. If you want a pretty even comparison, you could go back to all the other base classes: Fighter, Barbarian, Cleric, Rogue, Warlock, Bard, and Wizard. What the fuck? Hey, can you count, idiot? Basically what we're going to do is just bring all other 8 classes in line with Druid and Sorcerer, make their kits as interesting with their own unique ways, and give the class some identity. A Dark and Darker YouTuber named Spud Hunter, before he quit playing Dark and Darker, liked to play Wizard a lot. Some of the things that he would say a lot was peak Wizard gameplay. And what that meant was whenever he sat down to recharge his spells, it was really boring. It is really boring. I think everyone can agree on that. If you're not building for melee, you're dependent entirely on your spells. If you run out of spell slots, which you will, that you're done. And so with that spell charge thing, I humbly propose to you, the community, that we have spell recharge happen even when you're not sitting down. But don't worry, if that's busted, and if it doesn't work, something that could make that work is if only the spell you have selected at the time recharges. The other ones don't recharge unless you're sitting down, but the one you have selected that you want to cast does recharge while you're running around at the same speed or something. I'm not trying to say give Wizard unlimited spell slots. I'm saying give them an ability to defend themselves. You don't have to sit down to play the game. That's lame. In a fast-paced dungeon crawler, sitting down is dumb. There is an RPG element of sitting down. Like, oh cool, a campfire. It fits the fantasy. I approve of that. But what I'm saying is, if you have a class that is entirely dependent upon a resource that can only be recharged by sitting down for 2 or 3 minutes at a time, it's dumb. And on the other side of it, you have the sorcerer that has better spells, more diverse spells, more spells, and a cool like concept unique to that class where they can spell merge. You know, I want something unique for each class, like their own little niche thing. So for Druid, the unique thing is shapeshifting. For the sorcerer, the unique thing is merge spells. And that is where we're at right now, ladies and gentlemen. That's where we're at. With the Wizard, my unique thing for Wizard is spell families. I'm going to put it up here. Spell families. Spell families. So, what is a spell family? Let me get to that page. So, spell families, the way they work is in 3 parts. There's the cantrip, the tier 1 spell, and the tier 2 spell. Right now, you're going to be seeing the spell families. And in a second, you're going to see all of the cantrips. Something you might notice is that the cantrips are the same name as the spell family group. And the reason why that is because each spell family starts with a cantrip. So I'll give you an example. Firebolt, the cantrip, becomes the tier 1 spell Fireball, which becomes the tier 2 spell Meteor Storm. Cantrips are weaker spells that can be cast on a cooldown and don't cost a spell charge. I'd have them balanced in a way to have them be a good poke for the Wizard, but also a last line of defense if they are out of any more spell charges. So the way it would work is if you wanted to cast, for example, Meteor Storm, the tier 2 spell of the Firebolt family, you would charge up a Firebolt, charge a Fireball, and then finally charge your Meteor Storm, and then cast it. The way this balances out and makes the class more interesting is that you have a lot more diversity of play. You have a lot more options in combat. So you can see someone across a module and throw a Firebolt, which has, I don't know, a 5-second cooldown. You miss, and the guy starts running toward you. You're off the 5-second cooldown, and you think, well, should I throw another Firebolt and keep running? Or what if I charge up this Fireball real quick? So you take your Firebolt, and then your Fireball, and you throw it at the guy. He bounces back, and he's still coming after you. So you're waiting for the cooldown on your Firebolt. It's almost done. The guy's around the corner. What do? Are you going to hope for the lucky poke? Are you going to go for a Fireball? are you going to charge up for a Meteor Storm and spend even more charges? That's the choice that becomes available, and it also balances itself out by making spell times naturally longer. That's spell families. I want to give Wizard its own type of spells that are interesting and are its own flavor. And I think giving these cantrips, which will also help the Wizard defend himself, I think it'll also give a lot more variety to the class and make it a lot more interesting. So spell families belong to a certain school of magic, each one of them. And in Dark and Darker right now, the Wizard has 5 different schools of magic. I've renamed all 5 of those spell schools to Chronomancy, Pyromancy, Cryomancy, Arcanomancy, and Astromancy. And each one of these spell schools has its own number of spell families I'll show you on the screen right now. So the example I'm going to share with you today of a spell family is from the Arcane school. And if you want to see the rest of the schools and all the other spells, I'll share a Google Doc at some point. So just comment in all caps, release the list. I told you not to make any political.
I thought it was going to be super funny.
How are we going to get the movie deal if half of Washington and half of Hollywood? And the spell family that we'll talk about is the Minor Illusion family. What Minor Illusion does is, on a cooldown, when cast on yourself or a target, reduces the sound of their footsteps. Invisibility is the tier 1 spell, which is in the game already. And so an example of a tier 2 spell and how powerful I'm looking at these being, I was going to put Mirror Image, which creates a mirror image of yourself that casts only cantrips at nearby enemies. You know, just for fun, I'm going to go over another spell family for Chronomancy. So the Shield family obviously starts with Shield, and it creates a one-time use projectile shield, kind of like the Mud Shield from the Sorcerer. You cast it on yourself or an ally, and it'll block 1 projectile or go away when it expires after 5 seconds. The second spell after that would be Haste, which is the same as in-game right now. And then Tier 3, Time Warp, would be a channeled AoE, kind of like Locust Swarm or Earthquake, that really quickly slows people down whenever they step into it, ultimately culminating in a stun. The way this is balanced is by making it a channeled spell with the same risk of being stationary. And so what I'm trying to do is really round out these spells and make them defensive on one end and offensive on the other. Like, for example, with Shield being a buff on a specific person, it eventually culminates in a more offensive or area denial spell with Time Warp. The same goes with the Minor Invisibility family, that you start with utility and eventually becomes an offensive tool where you bring a minion that shoots other spells for you. And in between, you have Invisibility, which is also a very useful spell and kind of matches the tone of Illusion with Minor Illusion and Time with the Shield cantrip. To complement all these additional spells that each of the spell schools is going to have, I've also made a few passives to reward people for choosing spells of a certain type. The other active ability I want to share today is Contemplation, where much like meditation, you assume a sitting position, but instead of recharging spells really quickly, you can select one spell from your spell wheel to replace with a different spell that you don't have. It could be balanced with a really long cooldown, and I just think it would be a really fun way to give you some way to strategize in the dungeon and really pick which kind of spells are fitting the situation you're in. Thanks for watching to the end. Here's your Dwarven Wisdom. I want to say a big thank you to everyone that subscribed after the last video. I went to bed after posting that and we were at like 20 views or something, and I thought, oh my god, this is a bigger sync than with the second video. But I wake up and we're at 800, and before the end of the day we're at over 1,000, and I'm really thankful. I never thought that the ideas that I would have about this game or how to fix it would get any kind of traction at all. And maybe it's just because I clickbaited with a dwarf that I made in Blender. But so hey, thanks for stopping by. Thanks for sticking to the end. Leave a comment. Let us know what you thought. Like, consider subscribing, and we'll talk to you guys soon. This is the Mountain King signing off. Oh yes, I do need a beverage. Drinking water is dangerous. This is why I do beer. I only drink beer. This is why I hate water, because I get water everywhere. Beer works.